Hi folks, so after taking several days off of the power shed build here, we are back at it today. And today is really all about finishing up all of the small little details that need to be done. For instance, this gap here, we need to get some foam in that. And then we have to put our trim on around our door. On the inside, we have to finish up our insulation. And then after the insulation is done, we've got some paneling that we're going to go ahead and throw in there and get the whole building here paneled up. So that's what we're going to be working on today. But before we get started on the shed, let's take a look at our posts and how they did. It's been probably 4 or 5 days since we cemented our windbreak posts in. So let's take a look at those and see how those are coming along. So if you've been following our channel, we installed these posts. We have 5 of these cedar logs that we cemented into the ground here along our fence line. The reason that we did this was that right behind me here is our solar panels. Now in the winter time, we have some crazy winds here in Maine, and our panels will actually be in a vertical position, and unfortunately they become kind of a parachute for the wind. And so to help alleviate that wind from hitting the back of these panels, this past winter what we did is we put a trailer here. We built this ad hoc windbreak with a bunch of slab wood. Now it did work, but unfortunately aesthetically it was certainly not something very appealing. So what we've done is we took these logs, we drilled them into the ground, cemented them, and now that the cement is nice and dry, the next step on this project is to go ahead and add the slab wood. Now each one of these posts got 80 pounds of cement, and they are about as straight as we could get them. What we did down here was we went ahead and stripped all the bark off, as much of it as we could, and then we treated them with oil and diesel. Obviously not the most environmentally friendly method, but a method that works nonetheless. The main reason that we've installed these logs and we're going to build this windbreak is because of our panel rack here. Now right now the panels are in their summer position, and the wind does not much really affect them in this position, as when it gets windy, the wind just kind of blows right through it. In the winter position, these panels are literally standing straight up and down, and at just over 6 feet tall, it just becomes one big parachute for wind. So to help alleviate and mitigate any damage that might happen to this rack or to the panels, building this windbreak will certainly help. Now we know it helps because this past winter, the windbreak that we added was quite an eyesore, but functionally it worked great. It kept these panels in good condition. We had very little movement on the rack from the wind, and so building a more permanent windbreak is definitely something that we needed to do this summer. All right, so let's get this finished. So we are here inside of the shed, and as you can see, we've got the majority of the insulation up, but I still have to finish up in these corners. I got a couple of places behind the camera, and then along this wall back here. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So now that I've got the trim on the door, which by the way, I think looks great. It's the first time I've ever put trim on a door. We're gonna throw some caulk up on the top or some silicone up on the top. And then behind here, I have to start, I gotta foam that from the inside. But I think overall it looks really nice. So, all right, so now that we've got the outside trim all done, which was kind of a bear, we also got all of the spray foam. Like for instance, up in these corners, there was some gaps there, so we spray foamed all of that. Now we put a couple of wall pieces up. We're gonna work on the ceiling next. The wall pieces we're using, they're cheap. They're cheap, Lowe's. I think we paid 15 bucks for these. They're very flimsy. There's not a lot of meat to them at all. That said, it would have been nice to use either some drywall or plywood, but we decided, given the cost of materials right now, we would just go with this stuff. We are getting the paneling installed, and I gotta tell you, this stuff is cheap, but it definitely works for what, at least for a shed, it works. We did get the ceiling on, and I got two walls over here. It's getting the ceiling on was quite a job. Jen and I worked probably, oh hell, I don't know, 2 hours just getting these 3 panels up. Oh, it was pretty brutal. We're gonna go ahead and get these 3 panels on, and then yeah, we'll pick this up in the morning. So hey folks, so hopefully today will be the last day of the build. Right now what I'm going to do is get my additional studs here. I've got to get one here, there on both sides. The reason I'm doing that is because here's the insulation, and imagine there's paper on it. I need something to be able to staple to, and right now I don't have it. Also, when I go to put my wall sheeting up, I don't want this to be, you know, flapping here. I want it to be pretty relatively level. So we're going to put those 2x4s there and match that up. So when I put the wall board, it goes up nice and straight. So Mr. Tasunka here does not like flying bugs. A few years ago in 2019, when we brought him up here, it was the first year we had him, he got attacked terribly by the black flies, and ever since then, we honestly think he suffers from PTSD. I mean, that was a very traumatic experience for him. And now, whenever he comes outside in the summertime, all he wants to do is either be underneath something or be inside. He doesn't like being outside anymore. Not in the summertime. Tasunka, what do you think of the black flies? Huh? What do you think of buggies? Yeah, you don't like them, do you? All right, well, we are getting our insulation in, and it is not pretty. Not at all, but it is certainly going to get up there, and I'm going to work on this one. It ain't pretty, but it is done, and it is insulated. And to me, that's what matters. So the next step here is to start cutting our walls. Everything was going great until it wasn't. What I have found is that with these panels, they really have to be flat. I did pretty good on everything else, but this panel here, when I put it in, it was a little bowed. I didn't think much of it at the time, but as I started getting up here, this whole piece here was just a big hard bubble or bow. The problem was that even though it looked like it fit, it was a little too long, and so that length I had to cut. I ended up cutting on this corner here, and I took another probably 1/8 inch off this edge, and it laid much better. So. Hey folks, well, that is it. We are done. We have gotten all the paneling up. We've got the building insulated. There is a few things we want to do with some silicone, but other than that, this project is done. I am so happy and proud to have built this shed. It has been a long journey for me as a carpenter, or as a shed builder, or whatever you want to call it. But I gotta be honest, I mean, this is definitely by far the best thing I've ever built. I'm so happy with the way that it's come out. Well, now that this shed's done, we've got more work to do. The next big project I have going on is we're gonna be building a 14 by 14 outdoor kitchen. Yeah, that's a big one. This one here was a 12 by 8. The next building's a 14 by 14. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be very interesting because there are things about this next build that I have never done before, just like there's a lot in this build I've never done before. But I'm pretty excited about getting started, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Well, listen, everybody, I really appreciate the support during this build. If you haven't done so, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys on the next video.